Yeah, I stuck out like a sore thumb, but that wasn't a bad thing for me. I thought, yeah, well, we should represent. We have beautiful stuff, and we should like be telling the world about it. We shouldn't be hiding it.
One of the biggest things about RecommendAsian and professional Asian, and it's a word that you use frequently in what it stands for, is community.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really interesting word because I started this podcast by interviewing my dad and his family about their time in growing up in East Africa. I've spoken to other people about their previous generations and where they've come from, and one of the most common words that always comes up is the sense of community that they always had. And it's something that can get very easily lost when they move abroad, because now suddenly they're in a place where, especially a place like London and like you said, Canada, that same community spirit that was had back then doesn't hold as strong, and it's for a number of reasons. Living in a busier place, back in certain places they needed to stick together more because they had a certain belief and they're much more of a minority. But as that gets lost, it feels like what you're creating here is bringing that back. Do you see any influence of like your sense of understanding of what community may have been before and the community that you grew up in that might have also driven you to really want to make what you made today?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, I loved being a Smiley. When I was younger, I loved going to the mosque. I loved the social aspect of it, especially. We still have a lot of things that the Smiley community organises. Like, they would do, like when I was younger, they would do dance parties. They would do like Garba. They would do like sports festival. Our sports festivals still run. I appreciate that so much. And admittedly, as I've got older, I participate less and less.
Yeah.
But it's good for me to know that it's always there. It's good for me to know that my children, they went to the religion classes and they have that also sense of community. You're right, it's not as strong as it was in my day, but then we have different things now. Like in my day, there wasn't WhatsApp, there wasn't the internet, there wasn't. I don't think there was even mobile phones when I was growing up, to be honest, until I was like I hit my 20s. So I guess it was a different time, and the community aspect was really important to me. And now it's still important to me, and I like that I'm Ismaili and stuff, but I also like that I'm Asian, and that hasn't really got anything to do with religion for me. It's that like you were saying, the dress, the food, the way that we are, the way that we communicate, the things that we find funny. For that, to me, it doesn't really matter what religion you are. It's just that kind of shared tapestry of culture that I really like and I appreciate a lot. And I remember when I think I was in my 20s, and I think Gwen Stefani was wearing the bindi and it was like the dresses with the trousers that were a little bit like kind of trendy Slovakians and stuff. Actually, being Asian is very cool.
Yeah.
And I think we forget how cool it is. And I think a lot of the things that I like doing, like I went to the beauty awards and I wore a sari. I was the only one in the room in a sari. But I was very, proud to be wearing like a beautiful Indian outfit with like lovely jewellery and, and it being admired for what it is as part of my culture and heritage. And yeah, I stuck out like a sore thumb, but that wasn't a bad thing for me. I thought, yeah, well, we should represent. We have beautiful stuff, and we should like be telling the world about it. We shouldn't be hiding it.
Yeah, you're right. And earlier you mentioned the idea of these things going in a circle, that the idea of cultural influence or appreciation, let's say, for it. And yeah, back to your point, it's something that we may have seen before as, oh no, we don't want to stand out because we wear these kind of things. But you're right, it's suddenly it's come back on itself, and people appreciate it because it's colourful. It makes you stand out in a good way rather than in a bad way.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think what you're doing with bringing this community together of Asians, of professionals, is allowing people to express, doesn't even just have to be their culture, but these things that bring pride to, what it means to be from this kind of background.